In this video, I'll be discussing the solution code to program 14 called Seconds Converter. To begin, I will quickly review the instructions. The objective was to write a program that converts seconds into minutes, hours, or days, and provides key values for seconds in a minute, seconds in an hour, and seconds in a day. And then at the very bottom, there was an extra credit challenge, which converted the seconds more exactly into days, hours, minutes, and seconds. Now let's look at the code on the Java and Jiffy website. As always, these solutions begin with public class and then the name of the program, so program 14, and also contains a main method, public static void main. You may notice that this solution is a little more complex than you may have expected, and this is because I wanted to have one solution that shows both the standard solution and the extra credit solution. So the first thing I have is a Boolean variable called showStandardAnswer, so I can easily switch between the two solutions. The next few lines are hopefully very common to you by now. I print a message asking the user to enter the total number of seconds. I create a scanner with system in, get the number of seconds as an integer from the user, and then close the scanner. Then I have an if-else block to control which solution to run. If my Boolean variable is true, it will run the standard answer. If my Boolean variable is false, it will run my extra credit answer. Now we haven't talked much about methods, also called functions in other programming languages. I mentioned them a little bit in one of my previous videos called Introduction to Objects. However, you may not have realized this, but we've been using one method in every program since the beginning, the main method, which is because the main method is required to run a standard Java program. But as you can see in this solution, you can have additional methods as well, and those can be named whatever you want. So let's take a look at the two additional methods I created. A quick refresher on methods. Method parameters go after the name and are the input variables into the method. The value before the method name is the return type. When the return type is void, that means the method doesn't return any value. In the previous solutions video for program 13, I discussed static methods, but in this context, an easy way to explain why I'm using static methods here is because the main method is always static. And if the main method is going to use other methods that exist in the same class without using the new keyword to create a class instance, then those methods need to also be static. Lastly, the private and public are method visibility access modifiers. Methods that are private can only be used in the class where they exist. So in summary, these two additional methods are 1. Only being used in the program 14 class, so they are private. 2. Being called by my main method in the if-else block up here. And there is no new keyword to create a program 14 instance, so they are static. And number 3, they do not return a value, so the return types are void. Okay, so the first additional method named standardAnswer has one parameter, int input seconds. In this method, it is just an if-else block. With if blocks, I like to start with the simplest situation first, which I believe is if the number is negative. In this case, if the input seconds is negative, only a message needs to be displayed. The next situation is also pretty simple. If the number is less than 60, no calculation is needed, just print the number of seconds. In the next situation, to convert the number of seconds to minutes, first we want to only deal with seconds less than 3,600, because above this number, it becomes an hour. So that's why we are using this Boolean expression that the number of seconds is less than 3,600 for our condition. Next, we know that there are 60 seconds in a minute, so divide the number of seconds by 60 to get the number of minutes, then print the results. For the last two situations, continue the pattern based on the numbers provided in the program's objective. There are 3,600 seconds in an hour and 86,400 seconds in a day. For the second additional method, the extra credit answer, it also has one parameter, int input seconds. Again, I like to start with the simplest solution first. If the number is negative, print a message and that's it. Notice I use the keyword return to where the function was called because there is nothing else more to do. The return type is void, so it does not return a value. Now for the other situations, taking a minute to think about this, we need variables to store each of the values, days, hours, minutes, and seconds. We want to start with the largest unit first, days, and work down to the lowest unit, seconds. So if the number of seconds is above 86,400, we want to divide that number to get the total number of days. Then we calculate the remaining seconds by taking the total seconds and subtracting the number of seconds we actually used for the number of days. Now notice this is not an if, else block. It is a bunch of ifs. Is that even allowed? Yes, it is. And it is done this way because if it was an if block, it would only do one of the conditions. So if we start with the largest unit and progress to the smallest unit, the remaining seconds gets less and less until the remaining seconds is less than a minute. So then the last thing to do is print each value. So looking back at the main method, to call a private static method that is in the same class as the main method, simply use the name of the method and pass in the parameters, which in this case is just 1, the total number of seconds provided by the user. Okay, let's copy this and run it. The value of show standard answer is currently set to false. So first let's set it to true, and then right click, run as Java application. Enter the total number of seconds. So if I type in 500, I get 500 seconds equals 8.3 repeating minutes. Now if I set this value to false to run the extra credit answer and go to run as Java application and put in a large number, we see that 34,523 seconds equals 0 days, 9 hours, 35 minutes, and 23 seconds. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button. To help support this channel, please click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.